explored the need for empirical change required in a mature university and its management approach to change required due to serious external pressures from the rapidly changing higher educational sector and its social, political and institutional culture. The university is one of the oldest academic institutions in Australia. Buildings are costly to maintain in order to meet work, health and safety legislation and technology and other educational requirements. By 2015, the university aims to create, for the benefit of Australia and the wider world, the brightest researchers and the most promising students, whatever their social or cultural background, can thrive and realise their full potential within the university.
Our approach to the project was we critically examined the university's 5-year plan. The university is currently undergoing a development approach to change with conflicts with its culture and the director management style that's currently evident. The university will be more successful implementing change if they follow a change management model. The university should develop contingencies to deal with resistance from such parties as the union. The university should also implement the change process over a longer period of time, such as 2 or 3 years rather than 1. Our recommendations to ensure changes are effective would be to remodel the current approach using Kotler's 8-step theory. The change management framework is shown to forecast better success in the implementation process. Utilising sense-making and dealing with resistance to change, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor to interact more readily with the local staff on top of the existing change media changes. The need to create more transparency and accuracy in communication with local staff and the general public. We should develop contingencies to deal with resistance from parties such as the union. Extend the time frame for the change over a longer period or time to allow for the depth, pervasiveness and complexity of the change to take form.
Our team reflections on change management. Our report explored conflict in management styles and models of change, and the importance of culture during change, the effects of institutionalism, the role of the change agent. We explored the 6 images of change theory, organizational development theory, and change management theory. We have determined that institutional isomorphism was evident as universities have similar structures to fields of learning, campuses, learning outcomes, assessment methods and qualification criteria with very similar outcomes produced. This creates similar organization structures, patterns of coalitions and awareness. They are involved in a common enterprise. The university's change plan was a result of a vision or strategic plan. Identified the dominant management style is that of the director style. However, the current process of change was based on a typical coaching style of management.
For my individual assignment, I examined the key principles of change management and how they apply to the strategic procurement process using the Kotter 8-step model. How change management process can potentially enhance the strategic procurement outcomes. Drawing on our learnings of change management models from the assignment and the applicability of the models, I compared the strategic procurement model with Kotter's 8-step change model as being the most applicable and one of the best known models. The model is depicted below with the key deliverables at each phase aligned to Kotter's 8-step model. Comparing the specific deliverables at each stage of the Kotter model and the strategic procurement model, one can see the alignment of the models.
For me, being a music producer and a musician, change has always been a part of my career, my life, ever since a very early age. Without change, being a musician would be quite boring because you'd play the same thing over and over again. In the field that I work in, a lot of the time you're interacting with different people, working on different projects, so everything around you is changing. So I feel personally, when I started this course, that I was doing a change management course more to learn about how to deal with it in an organisational sense, but also because I felt quite confident with change generally in my day-to-day life and my professional life as well.
My initial view of change management when presented with Palmer's sixth image was that of a director, which is aligned to my natural behavior tendencies to control and manage outcomes and people. However, I soon learned that there are limitations to implementing and sustaining change when a director lands in your dominant frame. The director can benefit from sense-making to communicate messages surrounding the form of change and its purpose, to motivate staff and colleagues to gain their commitment and my team's buy-in, to identify change agents and enlist them to implement and support change, and as well to identify strengths and weaknesses, potential conflicts, scenarios, and resistance.
The key learnings from this is that you require senior executive commitment, strategic alignment, a sense of urgency, readiness for change, capable, committed resources, an effective communications strategy with KPIs to measure the results.
One thing that the course has taught me is that everybody has a different perception of change. Most people find change quite daunting and quite scary, which to me I thought that was odd because everything around us changes. I mean, we change the clothes we wear every day. We change our habits on a day-to-day basis. We don't do everything identical. So I found that sort of a bit odd that, you know, people sort of were so about change.
Palmer's sixth image of change management identifies how organizations can plan and shape change, notes that planning does not necessarily shape an organization, describes how change evolves and leaders should adapt and be responsive to factors affecting change, including resistance and unanticipated consequences of change.
I guess another key learning that I learnt about change is that it is a very complex process, and that complexity is the reason why change tends to fail. And as a change practitioner, we should be aware of the complexities and that not every change process is going to work exactly the same as the previous one we've just gone through. And the more knowledge and skills and tools that we have to go through the change, the easier it will be for us to adapt our strategy in order to deal with change.
Palmer's sixth image of change management identifies how organizations can plan and shape change, notes that planning does not necessarily shape an organization, describes how change evolves and leaders should adapt and be responsive to factors affecting change, including resistance and unanticipated consequences of change. My analysis of change management is that there is no singular approach or to apply or to adopt in isolation of change. Change should be implemented in the following steps and lenses. Step 1, applies director strategies to map out the path for change. Step 2, the navigator shapes change and what it may look like. And step 3, an interpreter is required to create momentum, get people on board, and make sense of change. And lastly, step 4, the coach comments change, cements change, rewards staff, and ensures change is sustainable.
I believe the Cotter model is good to clarify the relevance of the deliverables in the strategic procurement process as being most appropriate.
And I found the group experience very rewarding and saw it as an opportunity for me to work to my weaknesses and learn from my lovely group members. Completing the group essay before the individual enables me to establish support networks and see the standards other students have set for themselves and their commitment to their studies, learning, and development.